All right, why don't we call the order to start at 7:09 p.m.
Okay.
Terrific, and why don't we read the minutes for those in person? We've got a printed version or we've got it digitally. We'll wait a few minutes and read the minutes from last week. Thank you very much.
Just a quick question. David, is everyone in attendance that's normally here, because I can't see and can't tell who's here?
I'll tell you when we finish reading the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Anyone like to second that motion? All in favor? All right, minutes are passed. So Lori, to let you know who is here in attendance, David Gray, Christina McGowan, Duncan Banfield, Jill Brown. That was a nice accent. Jan Fisher. I got my mask half on my chin here. Jan Fisher, Andrew Monet, and Chris Rogers. Online we have Helene Murtha, Nancy Sweeney, Lori taking notes. Absent, I don't see Chris Timniak. He said he was going to attend, but I don't see him.
And Lori, the motion was made by Duncan and I think seconded by Andrew or Chris.
Okay. Thank you.
Boy, this is different than, with the Zoom, you've got all the documents, you can just like run right through it when you get used to it. Now we're like, wait a minute, we're in person now. Well, welcome back. It's great to see everyone. I'm going to go through a quick chairman's report. I really appreciate everyone being able to come in. We had some time for Jill and Christina to see the expansion of the study rooms. Chris and Andrew, you've already seen that, which is great. So it's nice to be able to do it in person. We can, as a board during new business, we can determine if we want to continue doing these in person or continue virtually. Totally flexible. I know summer is busy for a lot of people, so we could certainly cover that in new business. Two things that I wanted to cover today are the director search and then the trustees. We'll actually cover that in new business. So the director search, I talked with Karen Miller today at Bradbury Miller. She's great. It's really nice to connect with her. The timeline for that search is within our Google Drive. So if you look in Google Drive, there's a folder for director search. That timeline, I've talked with her as well as Jill and Christina, which are on the steering committee for this search. The timeline, standard process, the description for the listing, they call the advertisement. Jill, you and I and Christina need to review that. It needs to be updated and back to them by May 28th, so a week from this Friday. And I've also been in touch with the Director of Human Resources for the town, Jim Hesselkamp, great guy, really nice to meet with him. So I've connected him with Karen Miller and talked with him a little bit about the position, salary ranges and all that. So we're bringing that all together. With the timeline, you'll see when you look at that in the Google Drive, that it takes us through September. Now we know Helene's last day is August 31st. I remember when we did this last search, we had an interim director. So we'll want to do that. We don't want to disrupt their timeline. And I did ask her a little bit more about this today. The timeline that they, adhere to involves 6 weeks of doing active sourcing and search. We don't want to shorten that because that has really helped them generate a comprehensive search nationally. It gives them the ability to field candidates, set up meetings, go through emails, do interviews, do write-ups. If we shorten that, it might lessen the pool of candidates. So I'm completely fine with that. And I think that that's okay if we do the interim director in September. It'll probably be for a few weeks.
David, do they anticipate any impact just on account of the summer as well? In other words, might it even be extended because July, August, people are vacationing or doing other
Right.
things?
We did.
We need to build some time in for as well.
We didn't talk about the summer, but I also think this might be good timing in terms of sort of the dates here, because a lot of people are winding down maybe a school year, going into the summer. If there is a job listing and someone sees at the end of a school season and they need to relocate, it gives them the summer maybe to do that and plan for the fall. So that could be good timing. It's not exactly with that schedule. Did that answer your question?
No, well, I guess it were, no, but.
Thank you for being honest.
Helpful color. No, I think, I hear what you're saying. I guess there's some timing around, and I don't know when the quote unquote offer would be made, right? Because it's search, the evaluation.
Yep.
Which, and so an offer may not be made until someone's already, it's too late, right? They
Yeah.
already have to be subscribed to their local school district and unable to relocate at that time.
Yeah.
But at least they see the posting early, right?
Yeah.
And it gets them thinking. But my question to you is this, like, look, you know, the amount of time in terms of soliciting resumes and focus and what have you, I mean, even of the board, just with summer travel, typically we haven't met in August, et cetera. Might that create a little bit more delay and lengthen the process as well? Should there be another week or two built into that, just as a safety net, because summer is summer?
But I think we actually did add a week or two because of some schedules, didn't we?
I think that some schedules there.
So we did it, so
Okay.
you're right, I mean,
Yeah, it's
we
just,
didn't, yeah.
just being thoughtful of, you know,
Yeah.
allowing for that, right? In
Yeah.
case things do happen to get off the
And we
rails.
can
early.
talk to them a bit further. I think they felt comfortable with the timeline of this. I'm sure they've done
Yeah.
plenty of
Yeah, sure.
searches in the
Okay.
summer. So,
They're happy to adjust. We've
Yeah.
talked about it a few times, but I think that the timeline,
Okay.
look, it feels good.
David, where's so the job description, I should go into the Google Drive, and is that?
It's
where-
under the director search, so you'll
Okay.
see the description from 2017. And so the three of us should set up another meeting to go through that.
Okay.
And, you know, we'll probably leverage a lot that's already in there,
Yeah.
but we should all also make some updates. And with those edits, we can send it to the board for review through email. Give us your thoughts, and then we'll lock it down and then send it back to Brad Mill.
Great.
Okay, great. All right, so that is the director search. So two things I actually wanted to cover. Timeline ad. Oh, there's a survey link that I sent out to everyone. So there's a survey link for the board separate from the staff. The staff is a little more open-ended questions, but the board, we all need to take that survey that I sent it out. I'll send a reminder later this week. It's going to be really helpful. I haven't even looked at it, but I remember from last time it's pretty easy. It's not too long. Okay, then the trustee seat opening. So I'd like to cover that in an executive session at the end after new business. So we'll cover that. We'll go into executive session. We'll come back and we'll end. We're going to end the WebEx when we go into executive session. Let's see, and one other thing. Okay, I did look up for the officer slate elections. I looked in the Roberts rules. Actually, the bylaws are state for Fairfield that those elections take place in June. Now, meaning the slate elections for each year for chairman, secretary, and treasurer. Last year, I think we actually voted in May. Now, according to the rules, the bylaws, we do them in June. We could do them today, or we could wait until June. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? And I've talked with Chris and Christina and myself, or we've all talked about the positions. Does anyone?
There's a slate.
There is a slate.
Officers proposed, or
Yeah.
it would be you three again?
Yes.
Is that the idea?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I have no problem with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Great. So we can
You guys.
to make it to make it official. We'll cover it in new business, so it's an official vote. Okay, great. Terrific. There is my chairman's report. It's just tough to talk about this. Let's move on to old business. And the first one's going to be Helene with the COVID update and the strategic plan update.
Okay, COVID update. The governor's announcement has put everything kind of into turmoil in the library world, in the town world, in everybody's world. So as far as library hours, we added library hours starting a week and a half ago. We added, the way it runs now is Woods is open in the morning from 9 to 12. Maine in the afternoon from 1 to 4, and that's Monday through Friday. Woods is open Monday and Wednesday nights 5 to 7, and Maine is open 5 to 7 Tuesday and Thursday. Both are open 1 to 4 on Saturday. We're going to continue adding hours. It's going to happen probably a lot more quickly now. We're going to be working with the health department to figure out what restrictions will be in place as far as masks. Obviously, children are unvaccinated, so the restrictions in the children's room will stay, but you're able to browse in the children's room, which is really great. And today we started in-person outdoor programming for children, so that was really exciting too. So we've moved forward on that. So yes, we're moving forward. We're just trying to get a little bit more guidance from Connecticut State Library and the town. Because if you noticed, Brenda for now is saying that all town buildings, you have to be masked regardless of vaccination status. So that's what's happening with COVID right now.
Elaine, it's Christina, can I ask you a question? Have there been a lot of town residents who have been asking for increased hours?
They were happy that we've done it so that they're covered with hours. They would like more hours, understandably. The thing that's holding us up was the hiring of the custodian. So we finally got the job posted. We got the candidates in place. We worked with HR. That finally happened. So we have someone. Once we can get them on board, that's kind of hinging on why we're stuck at the hours. Where I'm happy with the hours we were able to get, but once we can bring this person on board, then we can, which should be shortly, we can start moving forward.
Great, thanks, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's terrific.
Helene, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and just a general question, are you having an issue with people coming in with, no mask? Kind of a little bit?
It started once the governor made the announcement. It's not like it's an issue, but it's like everywhere else. It's gonna, people all along have been like, I'm vaccinated, which there's all sorts of privacy issues with asking people their vaccination status. We could go into this whole, we haven't had a huge problem, but I think as you look and watch the news and look all around, things are going to start changing pretty rapidly.
Yeah, it's a good question. Duncan, do you have a question?
Just a quick question, Helene. How have you seen the traffic levels on the weekend and the evening hours? Have they been busy or,
It's picked up a little bit.
Yeah.
They've been solid. It's nice to have the extra hour. I don't think, especially, I'm going to speak more to Woods. It's been gathering steam because they started their hours later. So we're seeing an improvement. Maine in the afternoon is kind of the same total, but they have 3 hours to do it, which is nice. It just gives people more flexibility. We haven't seen a big increase in the amount, but it gives, and on Saturdays, I think it's been very helpful because we were running into a problem where we might have to have people wait outside. So we upped it just in time. And now with capacity, the only time we'd have to watch capacity is with social distancing, because the confusion is, for our sector and libraries, the social distancing language is still in, but I don't know if that's going to change.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so that's any COVID-19 questions? Does anybody have any answers? I think my staff said once they heard the announcement, the first thing they thought of was me because they knew I would be losing my mind. So anyway.
Well, how is the staff actually taking some of this news? Are some of them nervous? Are they okay? Are they excited? Are they feeling a little
To be honest, everyone would love COVID to be over and have everybody back in the library. That is a universal feeling. Everybody just is so done with this. So,
Yeah.
but nobody wants to start getting into situations where they have to get into uncomfortable discussions with people. They want it to be smooth sailing. I
Sure.
also have people that are, you know, it's a array of people that are comfortable or uncomfortable with COVID and having people around them. I mean, they have masks on, we have the plexiglass. It's kind of, I think they're nervous about people coming in and spending extended period of time. I think they're, you know, concerned, but not, you know, like I said, people are excited. The staff likes seeing the public again, so that's the good thing.
That's all great to hear.
Hey, Helene, are you still quarantining? And if so, are you going, what I mean is quarantining materials? And if so, are you going to be reducing those?
Well, we went from 4 down to 24 hours. And I think that's going to end very quickly. Again, Christina, you're probably in the same boat. You go to get advice and it's all over the board. So logic is trying to dictate. And before we were following the realm study, then the CDC. The realm study doesn't seem to get updated. They still keep talking about stacked materials. The CDC says this. So the schools are doing 24, we're doing 24 hours. We went down to 24 hours, but I think we're going to switch that up pretty soon.
Okay, thanks.
Another great question. All right, Helene, thank you for the update on that. Let's move on to strategic planning update.
Okay, the community conversations just ended. So that was Maureen holding these discussion groups with people. Nancy, Jan, and Philip Barr, the head of adult services, were instrumental with these. They kind of provided tech support while she spoke and met with the different groups. I think we did 2 sessions of community leaders. That was by invitation to politicians and heads of departments, people like that. And then, Jan, you can correct me. Did we do 5 general public or 4?
One was canceled, so I think it's.
I think it was 4 general public, and then our teen librarian, Jen Laceman, who was amazing. There was also a teen session, which we had some good feedback from. So
that's great.
We wrapped up the community conversations where Nancy, myself, and Jan are meeting with Maureen next week to go over this. We also had a session with staff again, with the managers again, to go over the vision, to talk about, brainstorm more about the vision, and also the goals. So we're moving ahead.
And Helene, in terms of these last few items, do you anticipate, are we still on track for having this completed in June, or is this moving into July?
I was gonna say June, but I'm concerned with all this other stuff changing with the CDC and all that, that this is going to make people less available to meet on this. I'm still aiming for June. We're still working like it's gonna happen in June.
Okay.
Because so far we've been totally on schedule, everything we've done. So I'm gonna keep a good thought.
And will Maureen need to speak with the board before the final report, or will the next time we meet with her will be the final report?
I'll have to speak with her on that. When we see her next week, I will ask her what her thoughts are on that. I don't know if after the conversation she feels she has to check back in with all of you.
That makes
She said
sense.
she got a lot of good information. So we did have a lot of people show up from different groups and, you know, different department heads, and it was nice. So good info.
Terrific.
Okay, that's my strategic plan update.
Thank you, Helene. Okay, we've got a new line item. We are going to introduce an update on the Woods branch. So Nancy Sweeney is going to provide that update. Hello, Nancy.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
So I have two big announcements. One is our elevator is finally rideable.
Congratulations.
I personally have not ridden it. I have been told it is a little slow, but it does get us up and down, which is its main purpose, and it is beautiful looking. So after all that, it is operational. My other big news is that we installed a story walk around the building. And for those who do not know what a story walk is, it's a series of panels, and you deconstruct a picture book and put each page in each of the panels, and then families walk around and read the book together, or children read it. And at the end, there'll be like a little area where you can do an activity. So when it was being installed, Stephanie and I went around to figure out where to put it. And in our heads, we kind of thought it might be like all story walk around the entire building, but it actually came out very, very nice. It's very non-obtrusive, and it looks great. And we've gotten a lot of people, especially when I'm out doing greeting, asking, what is that? So when we tell them, people are very excited about it. And in terms of being open, we're steadily getting more people coming in. I will tell that when I'm out at greeting, there are still some people that are hesitant to come in, but for the most part, everyone's been very happy and excited. And we did open up our children's room fully, and that's been a big success. That's my report.
That's great. Great to hear. Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A few quick questions, Nancy. In regards to the circulation desk, is all the wiring and the connectivity completed for the computers?
Yes.
Excellent. And is the RFID also connected in the kiosk?
Yes, and in fact, we're finishing up our tagging. We've had now that everything is in and we have multiple stations at the desks, we're able to do the tagging a lot quicker. So the children's room is totally finished. Everyone worked very hard. Whenever part-timers were off the desk, they were tagging. And now we're pretty much done with the whole popular collection, and moving on to, I believe, DVDs and the like. So yeah, moving right along. It should be done within the next couple of weeks, I would think, if not
That's
sooner.
great. So as a patron, could I come in, get a book off the shelf, walk up to the kiosk and check myself out?
Not right yet, because not everything's tagged.
Okay.
So it would just lead to confusion if not everything's done yet. And then some things that got slipped through the cracks, like when we find them, we have to tag them as well. So right now we're holding off until everything's tagged, because otherwise it would be confusion on patrons' part that some things are and some things aren't.
But the machine is set up. It's
Right, the
there
machine
and it's
is
ready.
there.
People are excited. It's
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Get ready, saying coming soon. So
I can't wait to test it out. I'm one of those patrons.
yay. Is the self-checkout machine for Maine, is it still in the room with you right now?
Yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah, very cool.
So get excited. Yeah, it's going downstairs shortly.
So streamlined, Elaine. That's awesome.
Yeah, very
Yeah, different.
I want to know how much it costs. I can't remember because I'm interested in upgrading.
Okay,
I can tell you.
Nancy, thank you for the update on Woods. We're going to move to space planning. Andrew can lead with additional input from Helene and Chris.
Sure. So, did everybody see Chris's note from earlier today regarding the? So, all right then. Surprises of you. Over the last month or so, I'm working with Helene to kind of nail down exactly where we stand in terms of what is the invoice, what is our current commitment, and then what are we looking at in terms of moving forward with the furniture furniture plan to replace a lot of the furniture that was discarded in preparation for COVID happens, all that fun stuff. And so we've gone through the numbers probably half a dozen times at least, probably closer to a dozen really. And looking at where we stand, basically incorporated Chris to put together an overarching financial plan in terms of where we stand with our commitments, our invoices, things of that nature. And that's where we get to this sheet, the space plan update. And if we look at what we have invoiced and committed, or rather invoiced, we will have a cash balance of around $22,000 or $23,000. But looking at the phased approaches that we're looking at for Maine and Woods, we align on immediate need for Maine, so that's phase one, and then addressing Woods all at once because not really even enough phased out. So as we get to that, we start to I'll back up actually. That's the future. Existing right now is the stuff that we have already voted on as a board. Our current commitment, our current church, the fiber, the marine, of the study rooms. That's where in the note that Chris said, that's our basically $120,000 committed by the board. We have voted on it, so we need to find money for that. We've already voted against it. Understanding that we are coming out of an opening, coming out of a situation where people haven't been in the building, it's a perfect time for us to bring a little bit more excitement, a refresh to the look here is addressing that phase one, both here and at Woods. And that is around $130,000 to address phase one. And we have more detail in terms of which areas that includes in both locations. But when we look at our balance, plus our commitments, plus the first phase, it's around $230,000 net balance. So Chris and I have talked, you know how these things work. Put in a 5 to 10% overage. So our ask for today, and we can talk moving forward, the ask for today is to approve a drawdown of the memorial fund of $250,000 to address these commitments as well as these immediate needs in the near future, so that we can kind of get that out of the way. And then close on its behind it is to start drawdown in January of 2022 to address phase two of the main, and then look at phase three shortly thereafter, which will require some additional funds. You can see this broken out by the different phases. So 71,000 in phase two and 67,000 in phase three. So
Andrew, so we as a board are just looking at phase one right now. Is that correct? We're only voting on phase one.
Correct. So we're
Okay,
focused on the 250,000,
Okay.
one time vote on that.
And Andrew and Chris, when we look at this, the line items here, it is from the acoustic panels of 1,700 down to the reference area. All of those lines, that's furniture, correct?
So yes, everything that is capitalized in here is part of the furniture.
Okay, but just so everyone knows, all these lines from acoustic panels down, that totals 128. So that is for furniture delivery, phase one this year. So that plus the strategic plan of 24, the library, the search of 18, we've already paid the deposit, and then the build out of the study rooms is 79. So that total, also we have a balance. I guess, Andrew, we're seeking an approval of the board to vote on a drawdown this year of 226.
No.
250.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're asking for the 230 to, the 230 is what we've allocated or we believe it's gonna run. The 250 is representing the fact that we anticipate that there's gonna be some contingencies or something that comes.
Oh, the
along way.
contingencies, that's correct. Okay, I understand
So
that.
that's how we get it.
It's basically
Got
a
it.
buffer.
Okay,
And I know this question is gonna come up and you and I spoke about this. One of the things that we think is prudent is we're not gonna take it all out at once. We're gonna stage it as we go forward. I think one key thing that I believe we should do is either a month before the quarter or a month before the expense that we know is gonna come up, that's when we draw the money out.
for when the invoices are gonna hit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great idea.
And because where are you gonna park the money? Are you gonna put it in the operating fund or what, or the?
What was we talked about this the other day. What was yeah,
In the money market, okay.
Yeah, great. And the key rationale behind this is realistically, it takes 5 to 7 days from the moment I pick the phone up and call these guys to the check actually arrives here. So it could take longer, it could take shorter, but I don't want to get stuck in a situation where there's undue pressure on the librarian or the assistant librarian, where they feel the need that they're not being, people are calling them up asking for money.
Right.
Right. And
I like that.
a month's carry isn't going to break the bank, for the
Mhm.
amount of money that we're talking about anyway. I think one key thing to think about, and we don't necessarily need to address this in this, but I went ahead on, in one of these, I kind of highlighted what our expected projected drawdowns are gonna be over the next couple of years. So take it just in the back of your mind, I'm expecting in 2022, we should be able to draw down about $95,000 out of the fund. And then in 2023, I'm anticipating about $104,000. And obviously, this is subject to market conditions, and this is using a middle of the road return that our investment advisors provided to us. You know, that could be more, it could be less, depending on how the market performs.
And is that net of the town repayments for the first couple of years?
Net of the town repayments and also fees that we have to pay to Vanguard.
Yeah.
And it's also assuming that this doesn't necessarily suck out the 250 just yet. That has a negligible impact on the overall 94. But
And I'm assuming that, you know, since with Helene's announcement, the staff feels like that these, at least phase one, makes sense to move forward on these phase one projects, that this isn't an overwhelming amount of things on the staff. Okay, good. I just want, yeah.
No, it's fair.
No, it's just,
No,
yeah.
yeah, it's fair. It's a good
And
question.
that's, right,
I mean,
it's a lot, and,
yeah.
yeah, and then bringing a brand new director in, or something like
Well,
that.
Christina and Jill, why don't you expand on that? Because when we were downstairs looking at the new study areas, I think it's a good question to ask. Well, go ahead and, ask your question.
Well, that's,
I think before we spoke about it a little bit, and then now as we talk about it, I think my question, just an idea, thought I had over the weekend was items that are needed, right? And that the staff is very much on board with. This is something that we should think about. And now it's based on makes people more comfortable.
Yeah.
The person coming in, the director coming in, going to be bringing in their own ideas and their own kind of thoughts and energy and initiative. That was the only question that I had brought up with Christine earlier, and you. So I just mentioned that, but my feeling is if the staff feels like these are very necessary things, and these are a phased approach, I mean, I think that makes 100%. I don't want to slow anything down by any means.
No,
Well, we've actually
Yeah.
thrown out like quite chairs that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's needed.
Yeah.
And now the
Yeah.
tables are kind of. I'm a patron myself, and then other times we have handed down from Westport, so I don't think there's any question.
okay, great,
And-
that's all, that's,
and
I
it-
just want to hear that,
That's all
so
we needed.
that's,
No,
yeah.
I'm glad you raised it. Helene, I want to ask you, can you just add some additional color just to reinforce the study rooms and how important that is to your staff and really to our patrons?
all of you that have used the library, there's 5 study rooms now, and this will double them, and this will be huge because study rooms are the one thing that's in the biggest demand, and that's been an ongoing issue. So they are so excited about the study rooms, the furniture. I have to say, with me going, these are 2 major things, because you all know you've been working side by side with me. We've been trying to get the furniture going for a very long time. I think having us committed and moving on this before I leave is key, because there was a fear that my announcement and the study rooms, but everything's coming together. So it's needed. It's key. It's been part of the plan for a long time, especially the furniture. So the public's going to be excited, but I think the staff, it's going to make things a lot easier for the staff also.
And the area of the study room is, I think, a really nice advantage is it's in its own wing.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be too disruptive, but it's just perfect. When you look through that area, moving out the old media of the old CDs, now that space is just like a raw space, just itching for really nice facelift. So.
And I have to say, the adult staff, the adult services staff worked very hard. When we threw that out as an idea, they made it work. They thought about where they could move things. This has been, a lot, and Jan can share with you, a lot of measuring, a lot of moving, a lot of brainstorming, but they were so excited and committed to this. I mean, they really made it work.
One thing at the information desk, whenever we have turned someone away because there's no study available, we can make a hash mark. That's been counted, and I don't have data, but it's definitely significant.
Right.
Okay.
People use study rooms, I mean, I'm using it for meetings, quite honestly.
Yeah.
One-on-ones or interviews or, you use it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just an important question with any, change in leadership, but if it's something that the staff is still very much on board on, I think that it's, especially if it's a phased approach that goes through December 2021, and then we have, so
Look,
in favor. Just, I think it's important to at least bring it up.
No, that's fair. Look, and as custodians of the library, right, and its service to the town, I think it's great. So,
Yeah.
look, this is Duncan for those on the phone. Again, my sincere thanks to the group that put this together. I think the detail that we have here, the thoroughness of it, the planned approach is exactly what we need. We're focused on serving our constituents with this. My only ask with this is that we're just tight with the numbers, right? When they come in, we're recording what's coming in, when we've timed it right. And then we've got a process in place to look at this. Okay, we did this. Are we happy with it? Did we get the results out of it that we expected, right, as a follow-up? But I think this is awesome. Congrats, and it's great. And if I can be so bold, maybe you want to, but I'd love to make a motion to fund this.
Here, go ahead and make a motion, because last time I made a motion, I think I chose the words incorrectly. So.
Gotta be very precise, Chris. Yeah.
You've been looking forward to doing this.
Yeah,
The floor is yours.
I wish to make a motion to withdraw funds from the endowment to support the phased plan of capital updates to the library, including study room construction, librarian search, and to fund elements of the 5-year plan, not to exceed $250,000.
Would anyone like to second that?
Second that.
Chris Rogers, second. All in favor? Terrific.
Well done.
I'd also like to echo Duncan's thanks to Andrew and to Chris and Helene. Jen, with some additional support, you guys powered through a lot of detail. It was just a terrific effort. It came together. It was really, really well done. And the good thing is that now we can use that as our guide with a Google Drive. It's going to be so much easier. So bravo. Great job, everyone.
And let's let the town know and our constituents know.
Yeah.
Right, let's put this in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Right, that this is an investment that we have made in the library. The town needs to see how we're investing our funds appropriately to support this.
That's a great point.
Yeah, be transparent about it.
Yeah.
Promote.
100%.
And we saw that with this past newsletter. I mean, we could, work with Jan and Nancy and others, and
Put it on the website.
Okay.
Put it in the newsletter. Yeah,
Great call.
let's do it.
Wonderful. Okay, anything? Oh, I did have a question on space planning. Andrew or Helene, do we have an update on where we are with dirt and any next steps on breaking ground?
Okay, so I have an update. I was on the phone with them today. We have all the permit requests in. We're just waiting for the building department to approve it. I think we're extremely close. There's a couple of things with the electric permit, but Yankee Electric is answering those questions with James Ryan. So I think that we're very close. Once the permit is approved, which I'm hoping just is imminent this week, we can have dirt order the walls and start there. So
That's great to hear. So do you anticipate that the work will start sometime after Memorial Day, thereabouts?
yeah, well, definitely after Memorial Day, yes.
Right. Okay.
Because they're going to have to order, well, I don't know if they're going to start the electrical work before then, as they're ordering things, because there's some vents that need to be moved around. So I don't know if they're going to start that then. I should know more once the permit it's approved.
Terrific. Well, things are progressing nicely.
Yes, finally, yes.
Awesome. Okay, anything else on space planning?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to the library operations report. Back to you, Helene.
Okay, a lot of this I covered already. Let me see what I didn't cover. I don't know if any of you are familiar. We started a podcast that basically is like a reader advisory podcast, and Philip Barr, head of adult services, does this, and he gets 3 other librarians together, and they pick a topic and discuss books and what's coming up and what's going to be published. It's called Fairfield, What Are You Reading? And we just got the 4th edition out there, and it's pretty fun. I think, exciting to have that.
That's
yeah, it is. It's a great reader's advisory thing, and it's like a behind the scenes, how we choose the book, what books we like. It's very well done. As I said, so we also, as I said, we did outdoor story time started today. We also did on May the 4th, we did an outdoor program over at Woods, a Star Wars, because it was May the 4th be with you. They had like a maker program over there. There wasn't many people who came to the in-person. It was a take and make. You could pick up and do at home, or you could do it live. But it was nice just to start this outdoor programming to get it going. Oh, Karen Miller was in touch with me and sent me the survey for the staff and asked me to send that out to the staff. She wants them, I did that tonight. So there's questions for them to answer like you have. And she gave a deadline for them for June 1st. So that went out tonight to the full staff. And as you know, the RTM meeting was over and the library budget passed without reductions, which was good.
Hooray. That's
Thank
great.
And
you,
that's,
as always,
Yeah,
for,
seriously.
for steering this through. Well done,
Yes.
Dan, Sandy, you, Nancy.
done.
Well
So,
Well done, guys. Thank you very much.
and that's my report.
Okay, great. Wonderful. All right. Jan with the financial and budget report.
She always has to get the very best part, so it's going to not as quickly, but that's a good thing. We get the most for this bank for our buck. So we're pretty much done. We have the check detail. Some pretty good numbers on there. But the fund balance, but because we have to hold back the some of the checks.
David, I really can't hear Jan speaking.
Do you want to come a little closer?
What did I say?
I don't think she's heard you.
The budget will be spent now, fine, and, just, I've provided a copy of the check detail and, the revolving fund. Nothing significant.
Lori, did you hear that?
Not really.
The operational budget is being spent down. A copy of the checks that have been cleared has been distributed.
No major developments.
There are no major developments. We're on course with the budget.
That's really what I need to know. Great, thank you.
Sure. I did have a quick question, Jan and Chris. In terms of the drawdown, the funds that come from Vanguard, you had said check. Are we still in the process of physical check and will be maintained as physical check? Or is it going to be EFT funds transfer electronically?
I need to answer that question, once we're officially ported over completely, then we can figure out what the cost is gonna be in order to, do an ACH or something along those lines. So right now, we're doing physical checks because that's the way it's historically been set up, and I don't want to undo what the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years, whatever.
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
done. Once we port over, it'll be a lot easier to manage that. I think the ACH should have a minimal fee, but
Yeah.
I need to, be honest, I need gas on.
Okay. I think from a governance, I'm and sort of a checks and balances, no pun intended. I'm fine with a physical check, unless you feel otherwise for electronic. What do you think?
I am indifferent towards physical versus financial, to be honest with you. The only thing I like about electronic is it's easier to track. I know where it's coming from, I know where it's going. Physical, it's mailed, keep an eye on it.
There could be
5 to 7
mistakes.
days, it could go to here, it can
Okay.
go to the main, or the town hall. So there's a lot of hands that potentially have to
True.
touch it and lose it. So, to be honest with you, my preference is electronic.
Fair enough.
To be honest, I hate paper, so.
Yeah.
I think, Chris, because those checks go over to town hall and the stuff that's addressed to them, they say that they should have, but they never open it, they just send it right back.
Yeah.
One of these days, they're gonna open the check up that doesn't belong to them and put it in their account and then it's could be
And that's a mess.
a nightmare.
Yeah, to unravel that, yeah.
Get it out of there. So
Right.
once we're officially ported over, we're gonna go to, I guess, simple, an ACH system or whatever they're offering
Yeah.
in terms of that. Whatever keeps the fees low.
Okay,
So a wire's probably $35.
Got it.
ACH is probably like 10.
okay.
I think probably have better control.
That's easy.
Just have everything go to money.
And there's a record.
Yeah, I think the only ask would be just what's auditable, right? That, you know, we're county were to come in and look at this, you know, are we following the right procedures? In terms of, do we have two sign offs or whatever?
We should check with her. I think that's a good thing for us to do is maybe let's stay ahead of that and let's just check in with the town auditor. Like, hey, we're gonna be doing this. Does that meet
Yeah,
your?
I'll ask Caitlin because she.
Okay.
Currently.
Yeah,
currently they have
Caitlin,
a-
yeah.
They have the same setup as we have now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Okay.
actually, it'd be good to check with her and see how they're managing.
That's a good
it
idea.
And just copy what they're doing.
Terrific. Any other,
The state owns puts money directly in their account, so they
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah, I mean, mail, I mean, I don't know how many.
Yes, but have money go, money markets. Yeah. So the Vanguard funds went to the money market. And the funds went to- Now,
Right,
the
right,
control, right?
yeah. Yeah, we're gonna, that's a good point, actually, with the dividends and stuff. We'll have to figure, because now they kind of check, and if we take it and bring it over there. I need to talk to Andre to see how they do it, because this typically, and if you have your own account, you'll see this, if they issue dividends, what happens is it gets swept into your account. And then you can either preset whether or not you want to reinvest it into whatever your investment sections currently are. Whereas we currently have it, so they cut us checking reports. I need to check with Andre to see how that's gonna work within their system.
got it.
Because we
Okay.
haven't done the hours mission yet, or we haven't
Yeah.
done the like specific box check yet.
Okay. Great. Anything else on finance, budget? Okay, let's move on to, back to you, Chris, for treasurer's report.
Sure, so the Vanguard, I'm gonna call it the porting process. Right now, it's going through their operations on their side. Time schedule that I received from them is 2 to 3 weeks. So we're probably about a week in, so we're probably 2 to 3 weeks away from actually being electronically set up within their system. Personally, I'm amazed at how long it takes for such a large institutionalized company to do these things. That's just the way it is. So not much we can really do about it. So we anticipate having that done May by the June meeting. And we should be all squared away on that. And then touching on our endowments themselves, you know, again, you know, quarter the market's performing in a way that's pretty good. We continue to see appreciation in our funds themselves. I think one important thing, I don't know if you have this sheet in front of you guys, but what I've added onto here is a rough estimate of where I think essentially what's now currently invested in the S&P 500, where those monies, what the amount will essentially have in at the end of each year. At the end of Q4, I anticipate having $5.8 million. At the end of Q4 2022, 5.9. It's called 6. Q4 2023, we're gonna hopefully have 6.16, and then Q4 6.328. I think one thing that's important to note on this, if you look at this and then you look at what's going on above, and you see this massive appreciation since Q1 of, or was it Q1 of 19? Our funds grew about 36%. Again, depending on how you want to view it and depending on how much you paid attention in finance and college, cost of equities should be about 9%. So we definitely outperformed the historic trend by a significant amount. You know, so and I think this is, you know, we've been in a historic time, and the endowment has been fortunate to take advantage of, or been in a position to take advantage of this, let's say, this pop in equity prices along the way. And I think it's the right decision that we're making right now, that we're going to go ahead and we're going to deploy that capital in a way that's beneficial to the library itself. Going forward, I anticipate the drawdowns consistently, because remember, we use a 12-quarter rolling backward-looking average, to be a minimum of about $100,000 each go around. And that's reflective in those balances as we go through, is drawing down anywhere between $100,000 to $110,000 on an annualized basis. And that's a 2% draw. We're using a 5% growth rate, so that's why it's only growing 3%. That's it, unless anyone has any specific questions around this stuff.
That's great. And that's a good handle of, you know, where things are. It's really helpful to see sort of the advanced sort of like, you know, forecasting and, you know, what we're doing now in terms of, you know, the conditions of the market, our planning. Things are, I think, converging at a good time for us, having gone through all that analysis and their planning and their roadmap and moving the funds to custodial. That's all great work.
Has
Really.
Vanguard started to put forth a sort of fund, the investment allocation?
They have. They put together two. One was 75-25, and the other was 80-20, which is kind of what I was expecting. Originally, I'll be honest, this is me kind of, I spent some time over the last month or so, once we got the initial allocation, like digging into it and having a view on equity going forward, which I haven't heard of you in a while. And I think, again, based on this unprecedented run, about 36% over 2.5-3 year period, what I'm waiting on some numbers to come back to us, but ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose that we go the more conservative route, okay, and break it into a 75-25 allocation. And the other thing, and I don't want to get too nerdy on everyone, but if you look at the way U.S. equities, and originally I was against having a lot of international exposure, but if you look at the breakdown between U.S. indexes versus international indexes, there's a huge, U.S. indices are a lot more heavily weighted with technology. And to be honest, when you start to look at like where we are and the work that's been done, it's all been, you know, essentially it's been fantastic, which has been fantastic for everyone. But the other thing to think about too is if we're in a situation where most people are thinking that there's going to be a interest rate rising over the next couple of years, well, the tech, again, not to get too far into it, but basically it's trading on multiples about forward cash flows. Yep. Get pulled forward, and as interest rates rise, those forward earnings become super expensive. And what you'll end up seeing is you're going to have to see compression of the ratios, and that's going to, relatively speaking, essentially could force the U.S. indices to grow a lot slower. Okay. Versus with, you know, when you start looking at what we're on an international index basis, you start dealing a lot more with like energy, utilities, state-owned enterprises, things that are consistently called like, they call like value investing, just slower growth, more dividends, and just has a very different life cycle. Yep. And it's just, you know, I'm in part of that market, so I see that, but you're just, in my opinion, you're just seeing a lot of money flowing into commodities, structured spending and everything else. And that will disproportionately benefit the industries that have been ignored over the last 4 to 6 years. So I'm working with Vanguard to see what their optimal percentages between international and domestic, but personally I'm leaning more towards international just because of, you know, there's an opportunity. This is where we are. We can revisit this in a year or 2 years, whatever. But that's good. That's my 2 cents.
But they have a viewpoint. I mean, that, you know,
they do. I mean, Vanguard. I mean, I was talking to a guy from Vanguard the other day who's not our official person. They are heavily weighted for the, you know, kind of in line with what I was saying. I mean, I was looking at it from a commodity perspective, because that's where I spend all my day, and they're very, very, you know, I'd say very favorable, agreeable on anything that has a lot of energy or a lot of commodity exposure in general. Okay. And their viewpoint from the top down tends to be more on the international side than the domestic. They just think domestic has run so much, they're concerned about tech earnings on a go-forward basis. How more can they grow?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Terrific. Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris. That's excellent. Okay, we're moving into the Friends of the Library, but I don't believe that Leanne is on the call, nor is Jackie. So we're going to skip the Friends this week. Moves us into new business. So we talked at the beginning of the meeting about the slate elections. Do we want to go forward with them this month or wait for the official June? I'm fine with us taking the vote right now.
Let's do it.
Okay,
It'd be nice.
so for official records, Lori, the slate of the elections in the current positions would be Christina McGowan as secretary to continue for another year. Chris Rogers as treasurer to continue for one more year for July 2021 through June of 2022. And David Gray for chairman as well. Would anyone like to take a motion? Make a motion. Gosh, I really messed it up. All right. Jill, would anyone like to second that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Approve the slate.
Can we? Oh, we have to vote on each other.
Seconded.
Yes, Lori, was your question?
Who seconded?
Andrew.
By the way, to side note,
Okay.
feel about the investment, I can't wait to see a discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the folks on the board and the great to be there.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yes, Christina and Chris, really appreciate you doing this for another year. Thank you very much. Is there any other new business? Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to move into executive session. We're going to end the WebEx. The executive session is something that I will take minutes on, that I will have and document, and we will go from there. So
Lori's gonna leave the meeting and then we'll come back to the executive session. She doesn't have
no, we'll end the WebEx. I'll take the minutes for the executive session,
Right.
and I'll confirm with Lori. We're gonna, with the adjourning time.
so you'll come back and tell Lori.
I'm ending the WebEx now,
Okay.
and I'll time
Okay, so
we're adjourned.
that means I hang up then. I'm done now then.
That's correct.
You're done, you can go.
Okay.
Yes, and Helene and Nancy, we're going to end the WebEx. Well, that's a good question. So for our executive session, we'll stop recording.
But are there other people on the line?
No, there are not.
Okay.
Okay. So Lori, well, because this is new for me, Lori, we are going to end the call for you. We're going to stop recording.
Okay.
Helene and Nancy, you're welcome to stay on the line, but we're not recording, and we can go from there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, so we'll stop recording now.